was the little girl I only knew. What was it to me, the stories and true? It was ingrained every night and then. It's just a story, so I told my head. But when I met you, I just knew all those stories were about to come true. But they were reading to me every night. Oh, hoping one day that I would see that light. But oh, I'm a fool for you.
Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some band lab clips.
Now for me, that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can scratch. With this AI, like scratching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.
I did realize the texture faded out. Glenn, you're little.
Yes, indeed. I was, and you were so used. What happened?
Yeah.
Now things are correct.
It was in my head.
Did I say that out loud? Oh, no. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday. And we're going to be looking at something that's one of my favorite topics tonight, keyboards. Or the differences in types of keyboards that are out there, because they're not all created equal.
Right.
When you go to buy a keyboard, a lot of people think that, they're generally all the same, but there's a big difference between arranger keyboards and workstation keyboards, especially those two. And depending on what you're looking to do, it's good to get familiar with them, because if you get the wrong one,
absolutely,
you could spend a lot of money and not really find the tool that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And even just exploring the tools that you do have to make sure that you're using them in the best way you should. Like even like the cheesy little Casio keyboard that I have over here. If I have, touch sensitivity turned off, then it's just basically acting, every key, no matter how hard I press it, it's playing at the same volume. And if I don't notice that that's not on, then it's like, even if I'm playing quietly or I'm trying to play, different intensities, it's all coming out the same. So you have to make sure that you're utilizing it properly. So you turn that on, all of a sudden, oh, now I can play loud, I can play soft. Like that's important to make sure that you're, checking the features. And there's different, like we were saying with MIDI controller. This Casio over here, I've got the little one that's got the drum pads on it. A couple different choices. This one has the chiclet keys instead. But
yeah, and
different keyboards are
controllers,
not all created equal.
The controllers are a whole nother level. Like they don't tend to come with the sounds. They come with the controllers, and you trigger the sounds through the computer. So
Right.
what we're going to be primarily looking at are keyboards that actually do come with sounds, and whether you're using it like you're using the beats or the chord options and some of the things that the Casios tend to have. A lot of the Casios
Right.
tend to be arranger keyboards. They're designed for putting parts together. But
Sure.
if they include a sequencer, nowadays an audio recorder, like a lot of the workstations,
Mhm.
they have their own DAWs. You don't need a computer
Mhm.
to actually record with the workstations. They give you the kitchen sink, and sometimes that's important. When I bought my Phantom, I wanted something that I could use without a computer. Like if I needed to,
Mhm.
if I wanted to just work on a song and I didn't want to hook it to the PC, everything was built in so that I could do that with the workstation itself. I don't use the recorder on it as much as I could, but it's nice to have that option.
Yeah, and to me, some of it comes down to the application or the scenario that you're in. Like if I wanted to, the Casio, as you mentioned, being a chord, it's got the Casio chord mode where you can just hit one button and that'll play a nice. You hit a C and you'll get a nice C major chord. If you hit a D and any other key, you'll get a D minor chord. That just makes it very easy to work your way through it and hear how it sounds with it's coming out. And you can on any of the rhythms and have it do in that style. It'll make the song for you essentially, so you can get a preview of what it would be like if you were actually making the song that way yourself. It's
Yeah.
good for that, and it's also good for take it out to the park and just play. Just because it's got little speakers built in. It does have the sounds in it. It's got speakers in it. You can do all that just internally, but you can also send MIDI out if you want.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that's
Good
common
to have options.
between all types. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's take a look and see what we've got lined up.
Mhm.
And to get started, Mega Music Online is going to talk about like the difference between a piano or a keyboard. New keyboardist, new pianist going into the music store might be wondering, should I get like a digital piano or should I get a keyboard?
Mhm.
And depending on,
Mhm.
you know, depending on your style, what you plan on playing, whether you plan on lugging it around, that's an important thing to decide before you go spending a bunch of money
Uh-oh.
on a keyboard.
Definitely.
Me being I started with piano before I became a keyboarder. So when as I bought different keyboards throughout my life, I started to shop for keyboards that gave that piano feel. So like weighted keys and piano sounds
Mhm.
became like important to me. I wanted to simulate a piano, but I wanted the convenience of a keyboard to be able to bring the band practice.
Mhm. Right. The one that I have that I'm using as a monitor stand for this monitor and this keyboard right here. Like I could basically where I'm sitting is where I would be playing the weighted keyboard that I brought up from Florida, the Selviano. So it's the full, it's got a pedal at the bottom for sustain and all that, and I can get the full weighted keys. And as far as sounds, it's not a lot of sounds. It's got very good piano sounds, and only maybe 8 sounds total. But the whole point of it is to be the most you know solidly piano feeling keyboard. It's one that you can move somewhere because it's just really all the guts are just in the top piece, like but you can put it on the stand and then it feels like you're sitting at an upright piano. So as far as the experience is more like playing an upright
Yeah, and
piano.
feel is super important. If you are a piano player, a keyboard that doesn't feel like a piano can really get in your way.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes after playing piano for a little while, if you switch to one of these keyboards with the very, very light keys, it doesn't feel the same at all. So it could really mess up your piano playing. Like if you intend to play on a piano all the time and you go to something like the very light plastic keys, you could mess up your playing. And then you go back to piano and you're like, oh my God, it's so much harder than I
Yeah, yeah.
remember.
And with the digital pianos, they tend to not come with a lot of sounds. They just
Mhm.
try to be good, you know, good digital pianos. You might get some
Right.
strings and your
Hmm.
typical sounds that you would expect to come with it, but piano is usually
Right.
they're what they're focused on, and they're not trying to shove like a whole synth into it. They're just getting you the important sounds.
Yeah. Harpsichord being one of the ones I would expect to find as well.
Yeah, yeah, the keyboard based instruments,
Hmm.
and then what we're going to do, we're going to shift to Woody's Piano Shack, new freshy channel that I stumbled across as I was looking for these, and he's going to get into what I really wanted to talk about when it came to keyboards and arrangers and uh, the differences between them, because each serves a different type of musician, and these are he's going to talk about the benefits of the two types of keyboards that you can get here, and then we're going to shift over to Tech Gadgets Chatter to take a look at the 5 professional workstations for 2024. This one I'm really interested in because when this thing goes, that's what I need to look at in order to replace my G8.
Hmm. Right. Right.
And I'm curious where they've gotten to in 2024. All of these brands, they're big name brands, Yamaha, Roland. They're the ones that I know, but these are the new generation of workstations, and I
Right.
haven't had a chance to really hear them in action.
Hmm. Nice.
And then we're going to shift over to Sanjay. We were looking at him last week. He was showing us like the computer that he built, and
Hmm.
I wanted to include this one primarily because he's going to talk about a piano plugin that claims to be the only piano instrument you'll ever need. Curious about that, but I'm even more curious
Nice.
about this DAW format he's going to be talking about. Some of the big DAW makers out there have started to come together and try to come up with a standard project format that can work across DAWs. So I could send you a cakewalk project. You could load it on Reaper or Pro Tools, and you can get your stems moved between people and have a source file that can utilize your VSTs, and it's basically an attempt at an open approach to a universal file format for DAWs, something I've been waiting
Hmm.
forever for.
Right. And to kind of alleviate or makes it so that you don't need to have the virtual machine with all the different DAWs in there, so that you can bring things up and transfer them over. It saves you those steps by making it into a universal format, which is cool.
And makes it easier for people to collaborate who musicians are going to use different DAWs. I mean, like
Hmm.
I've dealt
Sure.
I've dealt with musicians who have used pretty much every DAW that's currently out there.
Hmm. Oh yeah. And sometimes it's whatever's at hand. Whatever's handy is what we're going to use.
Yeah, I mean, I have my go-to, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to insist somebody has to use what I'm using in order to work together.
Exactly. Good to be
And
flexible.
then Pianoly, one that we visited a couple of times over the years. She's gonna show us some good things to practice if you want to get good at piano. She's gonna talk about like what is good to really get down when you get started with piano. And the
Hmm.
obvious ones for me were, chords and scales. That would be like
Hmm.
obvious, but she's going to go into a little
Sure.
little more on things you can do to improve your piano playing.
For me, it's also things like trying to figure out even just simple children's songs, like or just a very simple melody. Something if you could just pick out a very simple melody line and you know how to sing it, try to pick it out on the piano, and just that way you're getting the sounds and the spacing of the keys and all of that. You're getting all that into your ear, and into into your flow, so you can figure out, oh, if I want to go from here to the fifth, I know what it sounds like. That kind of
And
thing.
those are the best ones to start with to learn the more advanced. You want to learn Chopin? Learn Twinkle Twinkle first.
There you go. Yep, exactly. That's one of the reasons why when you start piano lessons, you start with things like that, Twinkle Twinkle, or Happy Birthday, or whatever. Just songs that you know. You don't have to be a musician that some of these songs.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're ones to start with to try to connect it to the
Yeah.
instrument.
And Pianoly is a great resource for piano instructions. This is a channel to go to if you're serious about piano.
Yeah, and the question of what am I supposed to play? That's one of those things that I knew people who for their entire lives they were a classical pianist and wouldn't know how to improvise. They wouldn't know what to play. If you just sat them down and said, play me something, they would play anything that's in their arsenal, anything that they've played, reading it from sheet music and internalizing it and making it their own. But being able to play something like improvised would just be totally foreign to them, because it's not the way that classical musicians are trained, really.
Now, what would you play if you were surrounded with this gear?
I need more arms.
Oh, I bet you if he had more arms, he'd use them. And looking at the synths he's got here, I mean, this is like my dream setup. Nice combination of like old school analog and new school workstations. The one he's sitting at there is one that we're gonna be talking about. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at like music and health and mental health tied to music, how they can complement each other. And I've always been one who's believed that things like Alzheimer, senility, some of the things that happen to our brains when we get older, music is a form of exercise for that muscle that can keep a brain young, or at least help with that kind of situation where your brain starts to break up a little bit. And studies have shown that this can really help to keep your brain going.
Yeah, and music is one of those things that seems to activate the entire brain, or vast regions of the brain, compared to a lot of other activities that are very specific in the areas that are activated when you're engaged with them. Music is just a very, it activates language centers, and it just, it seems to activate across a lot of sections. And that's why they also think it's good for things like whether it's Alzheimer's or autism, things like that. There's different applications and different ways in which music can help in different scenarios.
Yeah. I seen a video of she was in her 90s, longtime pianist, and classically trained. And at this point, she couldn't really even remember her own name, her family. She was late into the Alzheimer's, but they would bring her to the piano, and that's the one thing she could recognize, and she could still play like she was 17. And despite all her other faculties, like, starting to fail, she didn't lose her ability to play. That's a skill that stayed there even as her memories were starting to fade.
Kind of like riding a bike.
So
yeah.
that
when I did,
cool.
when I hadn't played keyboard in many years. Good.
No, it is a lot like riding a bike. It's one of those things that you might wobble a little when you get back on after a long time, but you don't forget how to balance.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is another new well, I've actually been watching this channel for a while, waiting for an excuse to like get this one into our arsenal, and tonight this was a good one to kind of tie it all up.
Nice.
And I just wanted to show off. I wanted to show off all those synths.
It looks nice for sure.
Yeah, that's my synth heaven. But let's start with looking at the difference between a piano or a keyboard. If you were going to purchase one, which one would be the smarter choice for you? Because I've made this mistake. I ended up getting a loan one year, $4,000 for a keyboard that I was really anxious to get. And when I got to the music store, that keyboard wasn't in stock, wasn't available, and I was anxious, and I was like, I'm leaving. I've got the money. I'm leaving here with something tonight. And I ended up buying a Yamaha digital piano. I think one of the Clavinovas back then, in the 90s.
Nice.
And, I was happy with it, took it home. But again, like I mentioned, only a few sounds, like, a couple good piano sounds, couple good harpsichord patches, but not much on the sounds. It was basically just the keys itself that I was paying over $3,000 for, and it lasted me a week before I had to take it back and get the actual keyboard that I was trying. It had weighted keys, but it also had a synthesizer, sequencer. I really did need a workstation, and at the time I settled for basically a piano.
Right. It didn't suit the needs that you had, so you brought it back and you fixed it.
Yeah, well, I had to identify like what I really needed at that point. So this one comes from @MegaMusicOnline. Oh, it's a store in Australia. Hey,
Nice.
we're going down under.
Very cool.
Yeah, at megamusiconline.com.au and @MegaMusicOnline over on YouTube. And it does look like they got some cool reviews, gear stuff. Yes, gear whores.
Yeah. Always good to see.
And we're going to take a look at the difference between a piano and a keyboard, and which one would best suit you as a musician.
Choose wisely.
One of the common questions people ask us at Mega Music is, should I buy a piano or a keyboard? So we thought we'd answer this and other keyboard related questions in this short explainer video to help you start off on the right track. What is the difference between a piano and a keyboard? A piano is an acoustic instrument which has been around for a long time. They are those big, beautiful instruments you might hear a pianist playing in a concert. They have 88 keys, providing the full range of notes. When you strike a key on a piano, a hammer hits a string which vibrates to produce the note that you hear. A digital piano looks and sounds like an acoustic piano, but is smaller and lighter and generally more affordable. It will typically take pride of place in the home, have inbuilt speakers and 3 pedals. On a digital piano, the keys will generally be weighted to replicate the same feel as the hammer action on an acoustic piano. For students doing grading such as AME-B exams, a digital piano is the approved choice. A stage piano, as the name suggests, is more portable than a digital piano and will typically have a single sustain pedal. A stage piano generally connects to an external amplifier or sound system and is useful for live playing such as soloing or in a band. If you are a student, we suggest speaking to your teacher about the most appropriate choice of piano. Remember that different teachers may have different requirements, and there are a large variety of models available suiting players from students to professionals. It's also worth knowing that digital pianos can come with computer connectivity, offering a world of fun, new sounds and learning possibilities. And you might also love a digital piano for something it won't come with: the ongoing costs you'll incur if you wish to maintain a real piano. A keyboard, on the other hand, often has 61 or 76 keys, making it shorter than a piano. The keys on a keyboard will feel lighter as you press them, as they won't be weighted to replicate the hammer action on a piano. For a keyboard, it is important to understand that some, not all, keyboards will come with velocity-sensitive keys. If a keyboard has velocity-sensitive keys, this means that the volume of the note will sound louder the harder you strike the key. Similarly, the note will sound softer if you strike the key more softly. If a keyboard does not have velocity-sensitive keys, then the note will have the same volume, regardless of how hard or softly you strike the key. Keyboards have a variety of looks, sounds, rhythms, connectivity to computers, and more. This can make music a lot of fun for a beginner of any age. In either case, the trick to getting it right is to try a wide selection of instruments. We have an extensive range of keyboards and pianos at our Mega Music stores, available to play while making your important decision. What do I get if I pay more? There are a range of price options in pianos and keyboards, and our customers often ask us why. Whether a piano or a keyboard, a higher price will give you better quality sampling. That's the sound they make. And digital or staged pianos with weighted keys will better replicate the authentic feel of a piano's hammer action. A top-end digital piano, for example, will sound and feel more realistic, like a true grand piano. So how do I decide which one is right for me? That's a good question, and here are some pointers. If you don't know if the student will take up piano or keyboard playing long term, we recommend one of the many basic student models available. However, if you believe they're going to be in it for the long term, you can explore more intermediate or professional models. It is more important that the student likes the way it looks, feels, and sounds. You'll want them to be comfortable in all aspects, even down to the right height if they're playing seated. Get this right and they'll want to play more, and that means they'll enjoy a quicker progression. The key to a long-lived and enjoyable music journey. Beyond this, we invite you to come and talk with us at Mega Music. We take pride in matching our customers to the perfect keyboard or piano first time.
Oh, such a good point about like playing seated. I'm going through that again. Like I've been playing standing up now for almost a year since I moved everything, and I'm getting ready to get back to like I need that proper piano posture that helps me to play better.
Even the piano that I have right here, or the the little Casio keyboard I usually mess around with, this is way too high for where I'm sitting now. Like I have to bring this chair way up in order to not be way too high. But
Yeah,
I bring this down a little bit.
I don't like my hands like this. I like my hands like this.
Yep. Relaxed.
And you know, the one thing that would make me want to have a digital piano, I'd love to have a digital piano in the studio. Something that I don't have to lug, that just gets set up nice in a corner. The 3 pedals. That's something that's kind of a luxury when you get to the like big keyboards. I can get Roland does have a 3 pedal option for this particular board, but the pedal itself is like $250. It's as expensive as like a small synth.
Exactly. And that middle pedal, man, not many people use it, but sometimes.
Well, the sustain was the important one. So like, you know, for $30, I get a nice, I would not ever recommend the cheap sustain pedals, the ones that are like basically little black box with it's a button and they break. Like if you play like I do, you'll buy 3 or 4 of those pedals in the time that one good $30 spring loaded pedal will serve you. So don't chintz out on the pedal or you'll end up paying more in the long run.
Yeah, I haven't readjusted my style to using the pedal yet, but it does really enhance what you can do with your playing. What's up, Nilla Gates? Good to see you coming around. We're just looking at some piano stuff.
Thanks again for covering last night with me, Nilla. Much appreciated.
Good stuff.
So I think if even now I know more, I think I'd still end up going for a keyboard if I went into the music store before I'd go after a digital piano.
Yeah. True. And again, it's a totally different story if you have, a child who's going to start playing at school or something like that. I mean, you have to figure out what's going to work for your situation, but having options is good. Having different things to play, something that's just a very simple thing that you can just throw a quick melody on, so you can remember it and get it recorded somewhere somehow. Even just using your phone to record it. I mean, for me, a lot of times that's the way to get something, just a nugget of something recorded so that I don't forget what it was.
Yeah. I guess if I was a parent and I was looking for that starter instrument for, a 5, 6 year old who might, like they said, you don't know at that age whether they're going to stick with it. So how much you spend and whether you want them to actually learn good piano technique or just kind of pound on a keyboard. I might buy the digital piano if I had a child and I wanted to get them into piano lessons. But being me, I'd more likely go with a keyboard for overall use.
And how about a guitar for stage?
Yes, I never was convinced on those guitars. They look cool, but I think I'd look stupid playing it.
Well, if looking stupid was a barrier to getting on stage, I mean, half of the people I know wouldn't be on stage.
Yeah. Well, if I'm ever shopping for a keyboard in Australia, Mega Music Online, I'm there.
Absolutely.
So now we're going to shift to the big boy keyboards. These are the keyboards that musicians will buy who want to compose, who want to arrange, record, and you can't really go wrong with an arranger or a workstation. Both will serve you as far as the sounds and the keyboard, but they serve you differently, depending on whether you're looking for accompaniment. A lot of keyboardists like to have those built-in drums and arpeggiators and the chord options that they can do, and the arrangers tend to be the ones that are good for that. Workstations focus more on being a recording keyboard. The good workstation will have a built-in DAW. Like mine, I can record up to 24 tracks on my keyboard, audio or MIDI. So it basically has everything built into the keyboard, no PC necessary.
Nice. And like you said, it looks like a big boy keyboard.
And this was a new channel that I came across, but gonna be back because Woody got a piano shack.
Nice.
Pianoshack.com. And, he's playing with some cool toys.
Nice.
Got some Yamahas in there. Some of the keyboards we're going to see over the next two videos, they've been high up on my list of considerations. I've been a Roland guy so long now that, since 91, I've been almost exclusively Roland with a couple of a Kawai here and an Sonic there, but Roland has been my dominating synth. But we're going to see some of these. Yamaha was one that was a real competitor for me back then. Was always trying to decide, am I going to put $4,000 towards a Roland or $4,000 towards a Yamaha?
Yeah. I mean, at that price point, you're looking at getting something solid, whatever you pick.
Yeah. True. I could not have made a bad decision between the Motif or my Phantom. Either one I would have been happy with.
Yeah, for sure.
So Woody's going to show us an arranger keyboard versus a synthesizer workstation. He's going to review them and give us a demo and show where they fit into your music making.
Very cool.
I get a regular stream of questions from people asking me if they should buy Synth Workstation X or Arranger Keyboard Y. Now, this always puzzles me because this is an apples to orange comparison, or more literally, a synth to arranger keyboard comparison. They are completely different instrument categories. Therefore, there is no easy answer to the question. I get the impression that many viewers do not fully understand the differences and similarities between these two instruments, so let's discuss that today. Someone once said, partly in jest, but it's often true, that synths have vertical faders for the volume control, whilst home keyboards and arrangers have round knobs. But there's actually more to it than that. It might be helpful if I mention a few examples. In the Synth Workstation category, we have the Yamaha Modi X, Montage, Korg Nautilus, and the Roland FA and Phantom. Popular arrangers include the Korg PA series, Yamaha PSR, and their Tyros and Genos. Let's start with the obvious and not so obvious similarities. Both are keyboard instruments, usually with 61 keys and a control panel full of faders, knobs, switches and buttons. These days they are usually equipped with a central large LCD, often a touchscreen, dominating the front panel. There are many similarities in the features too. Most synthesizer workstations, just like arranger keyboards, have gigabytes of high-quality multi-sampled instrument sounds on board, ranging from acoustic instruments like piano, guitar, to orchestral and ethnic sounds. Both have a wide variety of electronic sounding synth tones, like pads, basses and leads. There will also be a huge variety of acoustic and electronic drum kits on board. Both categories of keyboards are multi-timbral, meaning that they can play lots of different sounds at the same time, on different MIDI channels. There's usually a MIDI sequencer on board, and often an audio recorder for creating songs and capturing your performances. So what exactly does an arranger do that a synth can't? The most noticeable physical difference is that the arrangers nearly always have a built-in amplifier and speakers, sounding very good actually on the higher end models. This is extremely convenient when playing at home or in smaller venues. Synthesizers very rarely have speakers, and if they do, they are just a small, tinny sounding gimmick. Now, this might seem like a strange oversight, but the assumption I think from the brands is that synthesizers will be connected to a mixing desk and PA system, or to a decent pair of studio monitor speakers. The absolute main difference that you really need to understand is that arrangers offer real-time accompaniment. This means that the keyboard will generate backing tracks for you whilst you play, sounding like a real band or orchestra accompanying your performance. Okay, pretty cool style here. Drums are fabulous. Whoever says that arranger keyboards sound corny, think again. Nice fill. Let's go on to the second variation. Let's take a listen to the third one, then I'm going to show you how we can tweak these. Okay, now it's getting real busy. Maybe a bit too much in my opinion. Sure, some synthesizers come close and give you this illusion by using sophisticated multi-track arpeggiators that adapt to what you are playing, but they fall way short of the functionality offered by arranger keyboards. A typical arranger has a staggering number of buttons, which allow you to adjust the backing tracks as you perform, such as switching between different variations for verse and chorus, or triggering fills, intros and outros. It's a huge amount of fun, and no synthesizer offers this level of control. The very best arrangers allow you to connect a microphone and mix in your voice, with effects, and even apply auto-tune and generate harmonies. So, the synthesizer is feeling like the underdog here. But what are its advantages? Before we get into that, we need to define a workstation synth. This is a synth that is capable of playing many different sounds at the same time, with built-in effects and with a MIDI and audio sequencer for creating and arranging an entire composition on board the synth without ever needing to connect to a computer. If you purchase a professional workstation synth, then you can expect a rugged and well-built instrument that is built for a life on the road. Even the high-end arrangers are much less sturdy, with a lot more plastic in the construction. The primary advantage of synthesizers is that they have much more powerful synthesis engines, with the ability to edit the sounds in much more depth. This is ideal for those who want to edit or create their own sounds. You'll also find more focus on synthesizer sounds on a real synth, whereas the arranger keyboard will generally put more emphasis on acoustic and orchestral sounds, which are needed to create the realistic accompaniments. Perhaps you could argue that synthesizers are cooler. Synths have a more professional appearance and a better reputation amongst other musicians. The problem with arrangers is that they pack in every musical style under the sun. Many of these styles might not be to everybody's taste and end up sounding quite cheesy. Another interesting difference to note is that arranger keyboards, especially the higher end models, tend to be incredibly expensive for what they are, costing much more than their equivalent professional synthesizer and digital piano counterparts. So, before sending me an email asking me whether you should buy a synth or an arranger, ask yourself the following questions to decide what's important for you. Very light keyboard, easy to play wrong notes. Do you want or need the auto accompaniment? Do you want built-in speakers? Do you need a rugged professional touring instrument? Do you want to create your own sounds? Let's carry on again. Variation 3, okay? You wouldn't normally have a break like this, but I just wanted to talk to you. Do you want to look cool and attract the opposite sex? Now, if you don't like the sound, and I don't like this one, you can just change back to something else. That's better. I've owned dozens of synths and workstations over the decades, and I love them all. But there has only been one instrument that made my family get up and dance around the living room as I played. Can you guess which? One more time. chords, never mind. There we go. And again. Yeah. Back to the main section. I got the strings on, never mind.
Oh, I want to look cool and attract members of the opposite sex too. I should have got
Oh,
an
that was the
arranger.
trick question.
I should have got an arranger.
Or played guitar.
True.
That also works.
It's an automatic if you play guitar.
Mhm.
Damn,
Indeed.
Woody looks like he comes from the same breed of giants you do. Do you see his stretch?
Sure. And some of the keyboards also, they're smaller than others. You're like, when you have some of the smaller, like the 60 key keyboards, it's still, I mean, again, with this one's a 61, I think. And it's an easy stretch to the 10th and getting up to you can almost get the C to the G, but not quite. C to the F, though, I can get, but it doesn't sound as good as the C to the E.
Yeah, and he does
But
mention that, like, the arrangers tend to come in 61 key format. That tends to be the most popular. Whereas on the synth side, because they tend to be more for the professionals who are like looking for stage keyboards, 76 would be like my minimum. 61 I can deal with, but I like that extra octave. Personally, 88 is my go-to.
Yep. Now, at one point we did, I think it was one of the gear nights. We looked at one of the keyboards. It was a travel keyboard that basically snaps together from 4 pieces, where each piece, it looks like, one of the small little octave and a half keyboards, but it's, 4 of them slapped together becomes a full 88 key keyboard that you can, get that full, and it was full weighted keys too, I think was the main thing there. It was a travel keyboard.
Yeah,
we'll look at that.
That would be on my wish list if I was playing out.
Yeah. We'll look at that again sometime, because basically it's like you'd walk in with a backpack, and then you break out your full 88 key weighted, full weighted keyboard with 88 keys right out of a backpack, which is kind of cool.
So looking at the differences there, if you do want that accompaniment and you want to be able to play complex parts that have good backing to them, an arranger is a fun choice. I'd actually like to have one just for practicing solo, get to focus with my right hand a little bit more and just kind of let the left hand guide the chords. Be nice to have one in the room for practicing like that. But being more of a sound guy, I like to sculpt my sound. Like he mentioned, the workstations tend to come with the bigger synthesizers where you can sculpt your sound, tweak them out. And if that's what you're looking for, the arrangers are cool, but everything an arranger does could be done from the computer side. So I'd rather stretch the dollar a little bit, get the workstation, get the synthesizer. And if I do want the accompaniment and chord playing, and if the synthesizer doesn't provide that, you can always do that over on the computer side. Yeah.
And again, if you could always, do the chord arranging or a chord accompaniment thing from a keyboard like this, but it doesn't have the, you can't build a loop and have it accompany and, build a whole song out of it as easily with something like this, because this is just a low end Casio play around
Hey,
keyboard.
even the low end ones though nowadays are impressive.
Yep. I mean, it works for what I did it for, just having it, here as something I can mess around with and practice by ear. Cause that's the main thing I look at now is just anybody throws on anything, or I hear, a jingle from somewhere, or whatever. I hear any kind of music from anywhere and I can just jump to this and, immediately find it real quick and see, what key it is, and then just mess around a little bit with a pentatonic, usually just a pentatonic, to see, what a little melody would work with, that. And that way it makes it so that I can more easily jump in and just, solo little bits when I need to here and there when I play with other people.
Yeah. And the other benefit that I see over on the Arranger side, if you do want to slap batteries in it and be able to go play wherever, and, it's built-in speakers, like they mentioned, a lot of the Arrangers, almost a given, an Arranger will have speakers and self-contained. You could throw some batteries in it, go play outside. With the Workstations, they are designed to be plugged into something, a mixing board or your headphones, and that's another consideration depending on what you want to do.
Definitely.
I
Good
wouldn't
stuff.
mind having an Arranger. It wouldn't be my first choice. If I could only have one keyboard and I had to pick just one, I'd be going with the Workstation. But I wouldn't kick an Arranger out of bed if someone wants to send me one.
Indeed.
Awesome information, Woody. I will be back.
Most definitely.
And now we're going to take a look at some Workstations, because this is what I really want to get up to date with. It's been over a decade since I visited a music store, checked out the lineups and what was available, and so much has changed in the last decade. These new Workstations are really taking synth to a whole nother level.
Gotta love it.
This one's going to be coming from Tech Gadgets Chatter, new channel that we found, and we like our tech channels. Look at the reviews. Oh wow,
reviews are especially good.
And it's not just music, like self-defense knives,
There you go.
party speakers, always a good one. Best music keyboards.
Tech Gadgets.
Yep, that's at Tech Gadgets Chatter 8544 over on YouTube. And he's got a website, findingaspeaker.com. Hey, when I'm looking for a speaker, I will find you.
There you go.
So,
and this one's about professional keyboard workstations.
Yeah, this is, where we're at with Workstations in 2024. And these are the big dogs. These are the kinds of keyboards that, if you're serious and you want to hit the stage or the studio and have the best sounds that are available right now, any one of these keyboards is not a bad choice.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what we have here.
Is the best professional music keyboards, spotlighting the pinnacle of electronic keyboard innovation. Our focus is on top-tier workstations and dynamic arranger keyboards designed for the discerning musician. Whether you're eyeing your first professional instrument or seeking an upgrade, our guide is your ultimate resource. So without further ado, let's dive in. Make sure to check the description below for links to each keyboard and their latest prices, ensuring you find the perfect match for your music needs. Starting our list with Yamaha Montage 8, a synthesizer workstation that's capturing the attention of professional musicians worldwide. With its 88 fully weighted keys, the Montage 8 offers an unparalleled tactile experience, mirroring the feel of an acoustic piano while providing the versatility of a digital workstation. What sets the Montage 8 apart is its motion control synthesis engine, blending two powerful sound engines, AWM2 and FMX. This unique combination allows for an expansive range of sounds, from classic acoustic instruments to cutting-edge synthetic textures. Musicians can manipulate these sounds in real time with the Montage 8's comprehensive control features, including 8 rotary encoders and faders, all illuminated with step-ladder LEDs for clear visibility. The Montage 8 shines in studio and live settings, boasting professional stereo balanced outputs and pure analog circuit conversion for pristine sound quality. Its built-in effects, from lush reverbs to intricate virtual circuit modeling, add depth and dimension to any performance. This synthesizer is more than just an instrument, it's a robust tool for creativity, offering musicians a platform to explore new soundscapes and push the boundaries of music production. Whether you're a seasoned professional or an ambitious newcomer, the Yamaha Montage 8 is engineered to inspire and elevate your musical journey. At number 2, it's Roland's Juno DS 61-key lightweight synth action keyboard with pro sounds. A perfect fusion of portability and professional-grade features. Tailored for musicians on the move, this lightweight keyboard offers a wide array of sounds, from the cherished tones of the Juno DI to newly updated pianos and organs. What sets the Juno DS apart is its user-centric design. With a wave expansion slot, users can download new sounds, ensuring a palette that's always fresh and inspiring. The sample import function adds a personal touch, allowing you to integrate your own WAV files seamlessly. The Juno DS is not just about sounds, it's about making music intuitively. The 8-track pattern sequencer and USB audio/MIDI interface simplifies song creation and DAW integration. It's a gig-ready tool that doesn't skimp on creativity, offering battery-powered operation for ultimate mobility. Whether you're crafting tracks in the studio or performing live, the Juno DS stands out for its ease of use and sound quality. It's an ideal choice for musicians seeking a keyboard that's versatile, intuitive, and ready for anything. If you're in the market for a synthesizer that blends professional features with portability, the Roland Juno DS should be at the top of your list. At number 3, it's Korg Cross 2. This keyboard is all about versatility and portability. This compact powerhouse is a favorite among musicians who demand a broad sound palette and on-the-go functionality. With 61 synth action keys, it's designed to be an all-in-one solution for music creation and performance. The Cross 2 isn't just another synth, it's a complete workstation. Featuring the EDSI sound engine, it delivers over 1,000 presets, including the exclusive KR2B 3 organ and bonus banks. With 120 voices of polyphony and a new sampling engine, the Cross 2 ensures your creativity is never limited. But what truly makes the Korg Cross 2 stand out? It's its user-centric design. The built-in step and IDI sequencers, along with mic/line inputs, transform this keyboard into a mobile production studio. Whether you're recording audio directly on the device or layering sequences, the Korg Cross 2 is engineered to bring your music to life. It's not just about the technical specs, it's about how the Cross 2 makes music creation accessible and enjoyable. Its portability is a boon for gigging musicians, and its array of features offers something for every stage of the music-making process. If you're looking for a synth that combines performance with practicality, the Korg Cross 2 could be your perfect musical companion. At number 4, it's Kazoo 6600. A 76-key workstation that blends rich functionality with affordability, perfect for both budding and experienced musicians. Its touch-sensitive keys and vast selection of 700 tones empower you with expressive playability and diverse sound options. This keyboard is a creative powerhouse, featuring a 16-track sequencer and 210 rhythms, enabling complex musical compositions. The tone editor allows detailed sound customization, ensuring your music sounds just right. With 48-note polyphony, your performances will be smooth and uninterrupted. The 6600 excels in connectivity, offering USB MIDI and an SD card slot, enhancing its versatility in various music creation settings. It's designed to be intuitive, making it accessible for musicians at any skill level, yet rich in features to satisfy more advanced users. For those seeking a workstation that offers a lot without breaking the bank, the Kazoo 6600 is a compelling choice. It's not just a keyboard, it's a tool that opens up new possibilities for musical exploration and creativity. At number 5, it's Roland Go Keys. A 61-key keyboard designed for effortless music creation, perfect for all skill levels. Its intuitive loop mix function allows anyone to compose music instantly, offering a seamless and enjoyable experience. Packed with over 500 high-quality sounds, the Go Keys invites you to explore various musical styles, from pianos to strings and synths. Its Bluetooth capability enhances your creative sessions, allowing easy integration with mobile devices and music apps. The keyboard's portability is a major plus, powered by batteries for musicians on the move. While its keys are not weighted, they are touch-sensitive, providing a responsive feel that suits both beginners and experienced players. Compact and user-friendly, the Go Keys is praised for its excellent sound quality, especially its piano tones, which stand out even compared to higher-end models. Ideal for those seeking a mix of fun and functionality in their musical journey, The Go Keys is a top choice for aspiring creators and seasoned musicians alike, offering a world of musical possibilities in a lightweight, versatile package. And with that, we come to the end of our review. We hope this video helps you find the best music keyboard.
Oh, some interesting choices in there. Those last two?
Yeah, like that Casio for sure.
Yeah, the Casio surprised me. I wouldn't normally be saying like I'd consider a Casio in this category, but that one looks like a good middle of the road, kind of solves both sides, whether you're looking for that arranger, the portability, the ability to actually play it without having to plug into a mixer. That's a good middle of the road.
You can do 16 tracks right in it.
Yeah. And the roll and go was actually the one I almost had another video because I've been hearing a lot about the roll and go. It just came out and starting to make noise. Does look very portable. I mean, again, I want more keys. If there's a bigger version of it, I'd probably go with that. But that would be one I'd consider to get if I had a kid that was just starting out. Not super expensive. And Bluetooth is an interesting addition to that. I'm curious what people do when they hook it up to the phone, whether they're using it for getting more patches or maybe some of the accompaniment and things.
Yeah, hard to say. We have to check it out.
Yeah, the first three, the first three were the ones that like would be in my consideration. Never been lucky enough to have a Korg, but I always loved their sounds. You know, I would definitely consider trying it out. And the Juno is one of the most popular series of Roland synths in history. So, like he said there, you can't go wrong with that one. That is a workhorse. And the Yamaha Montage, which I'm assuming is like the evolution of the Motifs, because that's was their big brand for the longest time. That's another one that looks like the Motif has evolved into the Montage. If it has all those killer sounds that Yamaha makes, that's another one that's worthy.
For sure. I'm trying to think of which ones I see a lot on stage, but again, a different application because stage pianos are stage pianos. So you would see like the Nord stage pianos.
I was going to say, I think the Nord is the de facto like stage piano choice, the most popular these days. It's a bit pricey, but nobody complains about them. Like I never hear anybody say, "Oh no, those Nords suck." They all praise them.
Now, what if you were playing in like an 80s band, for example? If you needed, that sort of sounds throughout the thing, what would you bring as your default there? You wouldn't be playing a stage piano necessarily. You'd probably be looking for all kinds of crazy sounds.
Fortunately, I have my small Phantom, the G8, not really stage friendly. It's too heavy, but I have this Phantom 06, one that was shown in one of the early videos, and it has all the sounds that the big boy has, but it's nice and light. And as far as sounding like analog synths, the old school stuff, Roland, top notch.
Sure. Gotta love it.
Yamaha would be my second choice. If I was like wanting to get those like classic analog sounds, Yamaha does a good job too.
Yeah. Now, which one was the DX7? Was that a certain?
Yeah, that's probably the most popular Yamaha keyboard ever.
There you go.
And you're still seeing some of that synth and some of that engine. It still lives in Yamaha's gear. Like some of those arrangers that we were looking at earlier are based off of the DX approach.
Nice. Good stuff there.
Yeah. If I hadn't been snake bit by Yamaha when I bought the digital mixer, I might be more inclined to jump on their keyboards. But I made the mistake of buying a Firewire Yamaha mixer, and could never get it to actually work.
Yeah, that's not good.
$1,200.
Mhm. You expect something that you're going to spend like that on, you expect it to work for
Yeah.
sure.
So that was at Tech Gadgets Chatter 8544. Another gear site. We're gonna have to have a gear whores night. Bring these guys back. So now we're going to shift to a virtual piano. Sanjay C. Love his reviews. He's so concise, and he's going to talk about a couple things here. But to start this piano plugin, the only piano instrument you'll ever need. Big claim. I'm curious to hear what it sounds like, and the beauty with plugins, you know, they're much more accessible. You don't have to buy a $3,000 piece of gear to get a piano sound if you can get the plugin. So I'm always interested in finding good piano plugins, orchestral plugins, the kinds of sounds that I like to have. Always happy to check out plugins that fill that need.
Exactly.
And the other thing he's going to talk about after the plugin is an open project format for DAWs that is currently being developed that might make it possible for us to send our projects to each other and work amongst different DAWs together. Something I'm really excited to see being developed.
Yeah. There should be some standardization there for sure.
It's about time. So this one's going to be coming from @Sanjay C. We saw him last week. He built himself a music machine and showed us his gear. I think maybe his first PC that he put together.
Yeah. That's right. He was a Mac guy for sure.
Yeah, I had the impression. But here we're going to take a look at Pianoverse, and we're also going to look at a new DAW format that is being developed.
Nice.
Storytellers, beatmakers, this is the latest news, deals, and free plugins from the music production world. This is big news. Bitwig and Presonus have teamed up to create a new standard in DAW project files, which will let you share your music projects across different DAWs. So you can create a song in Studio One, save it, and then take it to your friend who uses Bitwig, and it will load everything. Audio and MIDI, of course, but also automation, crossfades, pan, mute, sends, and get this, plugin states. Now, here's the catch. We need other DAWs to start supporting a common format as well. Yeah, that's a big catch. Right now, it's just Bitwig and Presonus on board, but imagine having Logic, Ableton Live, Pro Tools. That'll be the day, right? I think this is the right direction for the music production industry, and I hope other DAW companies are listening. What do you think? Is this something you'd really want? Comment below and let other companies know. So, IK Multimedia has a new piano instrument called Pianoverse. I'm pretty impressed with the piano samples they've captured, but they've added a new trick. Kind of gimmicky, but inspiring too. You can make these pianos sound like you're playing in some really crazy places. A vault, the sea floor, a chapel, a forest. I'll let you hear those in a sec. So, Pianoverse is a sampled piano instrument. IK Multimedia says they used a robot to sample a bunch of different pianos with 2 mic positions for each piano. Lots of the usual controls are included, like lid position, pedal noise, mallet noise, but where things get really interesting is where you get to what they're calling generative spaces, where a reverb engine makes the piano sound like they're in some unusual spaces. Here's the piano in a warehouse, here's a vault, forest, seafloor, and depending on where you're playing, you may have unique controls. Check out Forest, Desert, and the seafloor. The theater is one of my favorites. This really does sound like an empty theater. I tested making my own presets with particles and a bit of cinematic lo-fi thrown in. There's a bunch of effects, envelopes, and LFOs here as well. They're going to keep adding different sampled pianos, but at launch they have 4 available. The intro price is $99. You have to buy each piano separately, but I think it's a reasonable price for what you get. Everything you've heard me play has been with just using one piano, the Concert Grand YF3. And with just one, you've got a lot of possibilities. The libraries are sampled, which makes them very big, so keep that in mind. IK Multimedia also has a subscription plan for the pianos if you're into that. Now, the presets do take a long time to load, so I wish they included a little preview for each, and more presets would have been nice, especially since they have so many interesting spaces and effects included. When comparing Pianoverse to one of my favorite piano collections, Hammers and Waves, I think Hammers and Waves gives you a lot more in the creative preset department, but if you're creating your own sound, Pianoverse really lets you do a lot, and I have to say, it's been fun and inspiring playing with it. Link to this new piano is below the video. Question of the week: what's your go-to piano plugin for cinematic sounds? Comment below, and hey, I've got a free cinematic piano plugin for you as well today. I'll share it later in the video. Get ready for another lo-fi instrument, and this one is for hip-hop specifically, and it's from Native Instruments. Homage is a virtual instrument in the Play series that includes synths, keys, guitars, basses, and the sounds have been recorded through vintage hardware and tapes. Apparently, this was inspired by the LA beat scene, and Native Instruments has also created an expansion. They've been doing this a lot lately, creating a Play series instrument and then releasing an expansion pack for a machine in the same style. The machine expansion is called Drift Theory and has the one-shots and sounds to accompany Homage. Links to both these new releases are below the video. Check it out. These are studio monitors that are totally wireless and have extremely low latency. And we tested how well they performed by finger drumming with them. Yeah, that's the real test. The Unit 4 studio monitors by III are a world's first, and I reviewed them in a video this week. Don't miss that on my channel. Avid has created Pro Tools Sketch, a free app for the iPad in collaboration with Ableton. No, I'm kidding. It's not a collaboration, but something here looks very similar to Ableton Live. The Pro Tools Sketch app lets you sketch ideas by using a clip-based creation method that pretty much looks like Ableton Live's session view. Well, I will admit that using clips is a really efficient way to come up with ideas and also a lot of unfinished songs. Anyway, the app is free and you get 16 tracks with lots of space for clips, and they're providing 1 GB of loops with it. And of course, you can freely move what you create into Pro Tools. You can download it from the App Store right now. In some unfortunate news, there have been multiple reports of layoffs at the Moog headquarters and factory in Asheville, North Carolina. This was first reported by the Asheville Citizen-Times, and they said that more than half of the existing positions were cut. This comes just months after Moog was acquired by InMusic, who also owns Akai, Alesis, M-Audio, and other companies. There have also been reports that this may mean the moving of a large part of their manufacturing to Taiwan. So, official word came from Moog on Thursday in a Facebook message, which kind of confirms everything. I feel bad for the staff involved, hoping for the best for them and hoping for the best for Moog's future. So, what's a good deal this week? The biggest deal right now is from Universal Audio, and it's only available on Plugin Boutique. Use the link below. More than 80% off plugins like the 1176, Lexicon 224, and the Manley VoxBox. This is an excellent deal which will probably rival their Black Friday sale, so definitely check it out. If you're looking for studio monitors, the PreSonus Aris E5, this is not the brand new model, but these are still good. They're only $119 right now. Link to this deal is below. Artoria's Effects Collection and V Collection 9 are on sale exclusively on Plugin Boutique as well right now. And man, if you want an S88 keyboard, the previous Mark II version, which is still an excellent keyboard, you can still get them right now. I'll add links to everything I've mentioned in this video below. Okay, I've got a free cinematic piano coming, but before I get to that, here's a quick word from our sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is a simple and fast way to get your music onto Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, pretty much everywhere. And DistroKid collects earnings for you when anyone plays or purchases your music. So don't keep sitting on those songs, get them out there and get some plays. I've created 2 videos on DistroKid that will probably answer any question you have. You can watch them right here, and if you're ready to sign up, use the link below to get 7% off your first year of membership. Okay, how about that freebie? The Felt Xyler is a free contact instrument. It works with the free contact player and has some dramatic piano sounds and dramatic control descriptions to go with it. You can control warmth, ache, and loneliness. Wow, heartbreak anyone? Do you think Dorothy can finger drum with these wireless speakers by III? How about with a regular Bluetooth speaker? Watch us try in the video right here. Keep making the music you love. Bye.
Oh, damn, he teased us on that format. I'm going to have to dig into his videos to find out more.
Absolutely. I like the idea, though, that finger drumming on a wireless speaker, that could be interesting. A good test.
Well, yeah, those speakers look really, really cool. I mean, Bluetooth speakers always been in the music world hesitant because latency with Bluetooth. But he's right. You know, if you can play drums in that test and it works, then the latency's not bad.
Exactly.
Gonna have to check that video out too, Sanjay. What a tease. He threw a couple of things at us there. But that's why I love his channel. Like his reviews, he covers everything and gives good insight. Like that piano plugin, definitely want to check that out. The underwater effect.
Yeah, I like
that alone
That's right.
makes it worth it.
And even just the other effects or the other areas and the way they affect the sound, it's probably very cool. It inspires a different playing style when you can just shift the location, and have it sound so different very easily.
It brings a level of ambience just to the piano tone, which is perfect.
Yep, exactly.
Yes. Oh, cool stuff, Sanjay.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
So now that we've kind of established the gear we might get if we were to play keyboards or piano, what do we play to get better, to practice? What is the best approach to becoming a better piano player? And to start, you go to Pianoly over on YouTube. This site is an awesome resource for anybody that is learning piano, and I mean, free piano lessons.
Very cool.
Really good ones. I mean, she has a great approach.
Mm-hmm.
And covers all the important stuff. Beautiful arpeggios, your piano scales. And I'm sure that's some of what she's going to talk about here in practice. The two that came to my mind when I thought, like, what should I practice every day? Chords and scales.
Right.
But there's more.
Chord scales, arpeggios. Arpeggios are good. Another thing is just working through progressions and, getting a feel, because that's more, again, if you plan on playing live or write songs, things like that, those types of things, you want to be able to just, throw together a quick loop of a couple of chords and have it feel comfortable and try out different feels, a staccato little feel or something where it's long drawn out chords. Are they really loud? Are they, all these different things that you can do to the chords that you're playing. But the idea being just getting comfortable with the hand movements of being able to go around, chord progressions of different types.
Yeah. After you get done figuring out like the chords and the scales, technique, how you attack the piano, definitely something good to practice different techniques. That's why, like, if you're playing classical music, especially depending on the composer, you'll practice like every technique. If you're learning Chopin or Tchaikovsky, these are composers that you have different approaches to how you play that instrument.
Yeah, Tchaikovsky always felt more like exercises, more like practice exercises that you would be given by your teacher than music.
Yeah.
But Chopin felt much more musical in those terms.
Well, and Tchaikovsky was more like I felt like I was pounding.
Exactly. But that's okay. There's a place for that.
Right.
Not everybody wants to do that though. Some people, they just want to sit back and play, Billy Joel or whatever. Some people have different, different musical tastes, different things that they want to go after. If somebody wanted to play metal, I'm surprised to see them sitting at a piano in the beginning, but there is, of course, keyboard in metal. The point being that, there's definitely more guitar influence, let's say.
Yeah. Hey, I was a piano player who wanted to play metal.
Yes, you are. This is true.
So let's see what is a good practice approach that you should consider doing every day to become a better piano player.
Absolutely. Let's see.
And ask yourself, what am I supposed to practice? This is an extremely common question, and today I'm here to answer it for you. So let's get into it. Okay, first off, how long should you even sit down to practice? The answer is anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. The most important thing is that you show up as many days as you possibly can, even if it was only 10 minutes. The reason is because you should build muscle memory when you are learning the piano. A huge part of learning the piano is muscle memory. So for example, if you showed up on Sundays for 5 hours, it's actually not going to be as good as showing up every day, even if it was a short amount of time. Again, because we practice, we do different movements, and our brain processes everything while we're sleeping, and it builds that muscle memory. You can do the practice routine that I'm saying in this video, even if it was 10 minutes, or even if it was an hour. So you can just squeeze these things into little small amounts of time, or you can stretch them out depending on how much time you have. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do in our practice routine is warm up. So warm up anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. And this is exactly what you should do when you warm up. First, we're gonna do some scales. Practice between 1 and 2 scales at a time until you reach a certain goal. So for example, if you're a total beginner, practice 1 to 2 scales until you can play that scale 1 octave. In this video, I talk all about what order to learn all of your scales in. For your scales, you could also make a chart to help you keep track of where you are. So for example, at the top, you could say C major, and then you could say 60, 65, 70, 80, 85, and you're gonna check off where you are on those scales. That way you can keep track of where you are. So once you've practiced 1 to 2 scales to whatever your goal is, for example, being able to play 1 octave at 80 to the metronome, or 2 octaves to 80 to the metronome, and so on, then you're gonna practice chords. One really helpful exercise you can do is just practice your chords moving up the piano. For example, just practice C major moving up the piano like this. And then you could practice another chord like G major. It's important to practice chords because chords are the foundation of all of our songs. So if you can warm up with these chords, you're going to be able to play songs a lot more quickly. Just like with scales, you can make another type of chart that's all about chords, and it helps you check off which chords you're familiar with. Another good chord exercise is running through inversions. So for example, if I was running through the C major chord, here's root position, here's first inversion, second, and then back to root. So practicing chords like this is very helpful to get those inversions down. And you could do that with a couple different types of chords. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, as for inversions, watch this video. And if you have time, you could always add in some other types of warm-ups, anything that's going to keep you interested and enjoying playing the piano. I have tons of videos that talk about different arpeggio warm-ups or just fun warm-ups, and I will link those in the description below. So for our warm-ups, the most important thing is, again, practicing 1 to 2 scales and hitting whatever goal you're trying to get to. So for example, if you were just learning C major and you wanted to learn C major to an octave at 80 with the metronome, that's your goal, then you're gonna practice that. Same thing with chords, just focus on a few chords at a time and get good at playing those chords. And then if you have time, sprinkle in a couple of fun arpeggios or some other types of fun warm-ups. Before I move on to the next part of our routine, let me know in the comments, what is your practice routine? Let me know. All right, after you warm up, now we're gonna start practicing songs. So I recommend practicing between 1 and 3 songs at a time and making a goal to finish those songs. We don't want to practice too many songs at a time because it's going to take forever to complete them. So how do we practice a new song? So let's look at something called a lead sheet. A lead sheet is basically when we have the melody in our right hand and we have the chords written, and that's what our left hand is going to play. So our right hand is going to play the melody and our left hand is going to play the chords. And I use lead sheets when I'm teaching my students because it's a really great way to play your favorite songs in a very creative way, and it's also a much faster way. So let's say I'm learning Yesterday by the Beatles. We're going to move in small chunks throughout the song. This is a very productive way to practice. So first I'm going to practice just the right hand part. So for this, I'm going to make it into a small chunk, and I'm going to go from Yesterday all the way to the end of this first line. All right, you're going to keep practicing the right hand until that's easy, and then you're going to practice the left hand chords. So we've got F major, E minor, A7, D minor, D minor / C. And once you're ready in that small chunk, we're going to play hands together. Get your small chunk up to being able to play it with a steady beat just like I did. Repeat this process throughout the song. Small chunks. Right hand, then left hand, then hands together, get it steady. Keep going. Now, once you've got the whole song done, we're gonna put them in bigger chunks. So for example, you could just practice the verse of Let It Be all together. Then you're gonna practice just the chorus, and then the verse, and then the chorus. And again, this might be a bigger chunk, but you're putting these together. And once those little chunks are good and steady and solid, we're gonna break it into even larger chunks, like going from the verse into the chorus and making sure that's smooth. Then you're gonna practice the whole song. And you're gonna try to bring that song up to speed, the regular speed that it is. And when that's done, you might wanna add some personal touches to your song. So for example, Yesterday could sound a little bit more personal like this. And so on. And once you're almost done, I recommend adding the sustain pedal. And basically, as you're learning new songs, you're gonna repeat this process over and over. Learn the notes, the chords, hands together, small chunks. Start piecing those chunks together until you've got the whole song. Jazz it up in your own way. To make it sound better, you're gonna need to add the sustain pedal, make sure you're keeping a steady beat, and make sure you complete the songs that you start. Doing these little pieces every day is going to add up over time. So let's say you were just practicing 2 scales a day, and 2 chords a day, and 2 songs a day, but you did it almost every day. You would make a lot of progress. One really awesome quote about this is by James Clear, and he says, "If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done." If you found this video helpful, you would really like my free training. This is where I go in a lot deeper on how to learn the piano in order, exactly what to learn in order on the piano to learn it fast. This will give you a very clear roadmap because, as you know, on YouTube there's tons of information, but sometimes you just need a clear path. And so this training goes over that clear path on what to learn on the piano in order. I love teaching students how to play their favorite songs without children's music, and I love showing them that they actually can learn the piano faster than they think. This roadmap does get results. Check out my student Kirk. He started out in my program, the Piano Accelerator, 6 months ago, and he used to take a little bit of private lessons, but he was doing children's music and he didn't get very far. But once he joined my program, 6 months later, he is playing Fly Me to the Moon, singing and playing, and adding his own pizzazz to it. So check that out. To watch my free training and to also see more about Kirk's testimonial on the Piano Accelerator, I will have those links in the description. And if this video helped you, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Oh, that was chunky. Lots of chunks.
Do the little chunks, then the big chunks.
Well, it's true. Like
Very cool.
Her approach there, something I should do more, especially trying to read with sheet music like that. Start with the right hand, get comfortable, then come in with the chords. I'm always rushing, when I try to learn stuff like that. Try to do both at the same time, and it's not the best approach.
Right. And that's why, it hurts more if you do it that way. It hurts more if you try to play live with people, because if the timing is throwing people off while you're trying to play live, that can really mess everybody else up also. So it's one of those things where getting in good habits with timing, and it doesn't mean you have to always play to the metronome, but you should be able to, you should get yourself to a point where if you're missing notes, instead of trying to, put the rest back in and stretch the time, you should try to just jump back in where the timing is. Yeah. Get used to that. Get used to just, abandoning what you were doing and jumping in on the one, that kind of thing. Yeah. Just because it works better in situations if you're playing with other people. But if you're just starting out, you're just playing for yourself. So you're just trying to figure things out and make sure that you're getting different exercises together. The one that we talked about previously was going around the circle of fifths, basically, and hitting all the keys by going around the circle of fifths and doing them in each key, doing like a progression, like the do the 1 5 6 4, for example, something that's a common 4-chord progression that you'll see in a ton of songs. And by playing that in each key going around, you'll feel and hear how it sounds a little different in each different key, but it's the same progression, and it helps you to recognize when you hear that progression in other songs, because you'll hear that progression all the time, and others like it. But pick a progression like that and go around the circle of fifths so that you're getting comfortable playing in each of the keys going around.
Yeah,
it doesn't take too long.
And the metronome suggestion there—that's something that also, like, if I'm practicing chords or scales, I've never really done it to a tempo and tested, like, am I comfortable at 60? Am I comfortable at 70 and 80 and progress the speed up until you hit that that sweet spot.
And it's not just comfortable; it's comfortable and smooth. Because being able to, like I could put a metronome on and be able to, I never used the metronome really, but I would play along to a song, for example, throw on a song and try to play along with it. And if I'm trying to play very fast, I never really checked my speed either, like you're saying. But if I were to try to do, several octaves in any key, it wouldn't be as smooth because I haven't practiced scales in forever. So, if I were trying to do full runs of full scales, it would be different. But doing pentatonics is a lot easier because you're just doing little jumps, little moves, little arpeggios, things like that. So it makes things work out a little easier and smoother than if you're trying to do full runs of the full diatonic scale.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take her suggestions there and start practicing my scales that way with the tempo. The chord inversion suggestion, an awesome one. That's another one that, like, I'm pretty good with my inversions in certain keys, but there's a lot of scales that I still need to get comfortable with the different inversions.
Yeah. One thing that I like is, the idea of taking, like that little chord exercise she was doing, playing the chords with both hands, going up the inversions by having the one on the right doing, the root, the third, and the fifth, and have the right hand do the fifth, the first, and the third, so that the third ends up at the top, because that gives you that sound. Like when I play chords on the bass, I get that sound. People are like, ooh, because it's like it's a bass note and a third, an octave higher. So it's a tenth, but it's just got that really nice sound. So if you do those two chords, you're playing, like if you're playing a C chord, instead of two octaves of the C chord of the same way, you play one inverted. So and kind of spreads it out a little further too.
Spread your notes out.
Spread your notes out and try different things. And you don't have to always play all the notes, but it's good for the, for the practicing, for getting this into your hands so that you can then use that to your advantage, because different inversions will allow you to use the middle three fingers to do little runs. Like if you were based around the third of the chord, the third with your middle finger, then you're playing like the fourth and the second are right there. So you can go back and forth between the third, the second, and the fourth very quickly. If you play an inversion, now your middle finger is centered around the fifth or the root, and you're doing those little moves around those, chord tones, because those are the ones that are important places to know where they are and work your way around them and land on them.
Well, and if you guys want to know more on playing the piano and get better at it, at Pianoly, this is a great piano resource.
Nice. Good
Them
stuff.
and Pianote, those two channels fill my piano heart.
Yeah. Well, we visited them before, and we'll visit again for sure. So
that muscle memory that she was talking about, and when you're practicing to develop it, our last video, we're going to be looking at music in your brain and how playing music prevents Alzheimer's. Studies are showing this, and it's very promising.
Nice. Yeah, again, I think it had to do with music activating the entire brain or engaging a large portion of the brain, so it helps with communication in the brain.
Oh, his header even looks as cool as his room. So
Nice.
this is a channel I've been dying to get on here for one night, and finally found a topic that fit well. This guy's my synthesizer idol. Scott Synth Stuff.
Good stuff.
At Scott Synth Stuff over on YouTube. And I mean, he covers synths like a champ.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, all the different synths that I've considered or want, he's got videos on them.
And yes, Uni, you're exactly right. Sometimes it is easier to play with just a simple beat than the metronome, because the metronome can just be very, whether it's annoying or whether it's just too plain and too rigid, too fixed. But if you just have a simple beat going in the background, it's kind of easier to get into the groove.
Yeah, and what I've done at times is reprogram my metronome sound, because, metronome is basically just a MIDI trigger. So whether you use the default metronome sound or you change it so that it feels more like a drum beat, like use a kick on the metronome or use a snare on the metronome, it might actually work better for you than the tick, tick, tick sound.
I usually switch to clave, so it is like that wood, like a wood block sound almost.
Yeah, the wood block doesn't bother me as much as the like default tick, tick, tick. I hate the sound of that.
And then some of the DAWs, their metronome is awful also, but they usually do have a clave option. Just even if they only have a couple of options in the drop down, usually one of them would be that. So just changing that makes it a little more tolerable. But yeah, even just throwing on a simple drum beat, some drum pattern. The Casio, for example, has all those built-in rhythms, so I can just pick, disco 1 or rock to 02 or whatever, and throw that on for a minute and see how that feels, and just see what comes out, see what it inspires.
Yeah, and you don't have to force the metronome on yourself. Just never convince yourself that like you don't need it, because that does get in the way of a lot of musicians who have timing problems because they just can't overcome their issues with the metronome. And I understand, like, I'm not a metronome guy either. The way I play metronome, sometimes I'm either chasing the metronome or I'm trying to catch up to it, and it takes some getting used to, but never convince yourself that like you don't need the metronome. Otherwise, all those other musicians out there are going to be like, I don't want to jam with that dude.
Exactly. And I mean, I've been playing bass for a long time now, and going from that to back to keyboard, as having all that bass playing, I should say, experience, going back into keyboard, all that timing is still baked in now. So like, I get it. Like, I might not have the muscle memory to play as fast or as smoothly as I did when I was younger, but as it's coming back to me, as I play more, the timing that I have from playing bass and the ability to just jump back on board, and the fact that the keyboard isn't usually trying to carry everything the whole time, where the bass, when I'm on the bass, I have to hit that one every time. It's like I'm on a job. I have a job to do. Whereas with the keyboard, it's so free floating that I don't like know exactly what I should be doing. Like, do I do a little sprinkle notes here or do a little run there? When to do what is what I'm still working out. But knowing what to play and feeling the pentatonics is the biggest thing I could tell to anybody if they're trying to learn any instrument. Really, is just figuring out the pentatonics and which pentatonics to use to do little runs and things, because that'll get you to where you're making music and it's fun and it sounds good, and it gets you to where you can then branch out from there.
That's how you get some of your sprinkles.
Oh yeah, for sure. And everyone, and you bake different things into your style, and that's where, again, what you listen to affects what you play. So again, I played a lot of blues, or went with a lot of blues when I was learning the bass in the beginning, so I built all that in also, like just the structure of something rigid like that, and then taking my experience of doing rock for so long, or listening to rock for so long, and having all of that kind of baked in, so that it just kind of all works in, where the timing is there and all of that, and then everything just kind of falls together in that way. It works out nicely.
Yep. So let's see all these synths in action.
Yeah.
And Scott's gonna
a whole wall of stuff.
Scott's gonna explain to us how music and your brain work together to help maybe prevent some mental deterioration as you get older.
It's important stuff.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome to Synth Stuff. Today we're going to be talking about music and how it can help your brain with aging and dementia, specifically playing the keyboard. Coming up next. This is going to be a little bit of a different video simply because we're not going to be talking about specific synthesizers, but we're going to be talking about music and keyboarding and how it affects you in your life going forward and in old age. It's something I find particularly interesting, being that I have a fair amount of exposure to people around me and in my family suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. I've actually recently lost 2 within the last year. Close family members to dementia. So it's definitely something that's part of my life. I subscribe to a number of medical journals simply because I find them interesting to read, and this is an article I came across probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and I wrote it down as I thought, this is something that would make a good video for my synth channel. This article was about a study or project in the UK called Protect, and it's a study that is specifically targeted to examine aging when it comes to dementia and Alzheimer's in the general population. And we're talking about healthy aging, we're talking about high functioning when it comes to physical, mental health, and cognitive performance. So there was about 4 minutes of video in here where I talked about the individual studies and all the statistics and got into all the numbers and everything. And I showed this video to my wife and she's like, I'm bored already. Nobody's going to watch this. So I cut all this out because nobody's going to watch it. So if you want the details showing the numbers and actually how the studies were performed, those links are in the description below. Now let's just get to what the studies actually showed. So the basic conclusion was that learning to play a musical instrument is a cognitively stimulating activity. No news there. And it can increase resilience against age-related pathologies later in life. So the more music study, playing, the more involvement with music that you have throughout your life, the more stimulation you get in your brain, the more cognitive stimulation, the better equipped you are to fend off age-related cognitive decline later in life, such as dementia or Alzheimer's. What did we learn from this study? And again, if you want details on the study, I'll put a link to it in the description below. So those who reported playing a musical instrument performed significantly better on working memory and executive memory tasks. So again, your memory works, your decision making, your day-to-day functioning, your executive level, as well as your short-term and long-term memory, there is a significant improvement if you have music in your background. The more music and the earlier you started the music, the more significant the increase, but they found that even people that start music later in life and even in midlife still see a significant benefit in later life in terms of cognitive function. In terms of working memory, the musicians that had the best improvement in working memory are keyboardists. So using the keyboard, apparently you use a lot more of your short-term and long-term memory in order to be able to continue to function and play it. So that exercises your memory, and as a result, your memory improves, especially, and you get what's called a cognitive reserve. It's kind of like working a muscle. You use it or you lose it. And if you are constantly at the gym working out and you develop these great big muscles, well, you're not using those muscles in everyday life, but if you have to, you've got that reserve. And then in your elderly years, when you do lose muscle mass, well, if you had more to begin with, then you have more left over when you start losing it. Same thing with your brain. If you're using your brain continually and generating more connections and improving it in midlife or early life, that means you have that much more that when you start losing function in later years, you still have a significant amount left. If all you do is sit around watching TikTok all day and you're not generating those neuron connections, you don't have an excess of cognitive capacity, and so you are far more likely to be affected if you are suffering from a cognitive decline or dementia or Alzheimer's of that sort, because you don't have that reserve, that cognitive reserve. We talked about working memory for keyboardists. What about executive function? You would think executive function is probably going to be keyboardists too, but no, you're wrong. Executive function was most heightened on woodwind players and singers. I guess maybe because there's lyrics involved, there's language, but those are the two types of musicians that had the best cognitive executive function. The following are direct quotes from this study that I will put a link to in the description below. And I'm going to read these to make sure I get them exactly right. So there is considerable evidence for the benefit of music group activities for individuals with dementia. That was actually part of this study because they distinguish between independent musicians who may be playing in a studio or on their own and those who played with groups or sang in choirs. So the group dynamics actually has a significant increase. So you actually do far better playing with a band than you do sitting in a studio in your basement by yourself playing music. And if individuals have dementia already, there is a significant benefit from treating those individuals as a group and having them play music together. Even at that late stage, they're seeing benefits. The approach of having music group activities for individuals with dementia, this approach could be extended as a part of a health aging package for healthy older adults to enable them to proactively reduce their risk and promote brain health. So basically, if you are getting up in age, play music, play an instrument, learn an instrument, sing, join a choir. It will do you so much better. If you're not that age yet, get your parents involved, get them learning music. It will help. Lifestyle factors that keep the brain active appear to increase cognitive reserve and are associated with more favorable cognitive trajectory. Cognitive trajectory, I mean, we all decline in older age, the cognition goes down, but like I said, if you have more of a reserve to begin with, that trajectory may be going down, but you have a big buffer of cognition in your brain, the capacity for cognition, and that means that it's going to affect you a lot less than the TikTok watcher. Another direct quote, "The value of education and engagement in musical activities throughout life," my emphasis, "as a means of harnessing cognitive reserve as a part of protective lifestyle for brain health, even when practiced later in life." So yes, there is a benefit starting when you're a kid, and that benefit persists through your entire life, but there's also considerable benefit to starting later in life, so it's never too late to start. People who had engaged more with leisure activities such as music were less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Now, Alzheimer's is a specific disease that has a number of causes, environmental, genetic, but you can help protect against Alzheimer's simply by engaging in things that keep your brain active. Again, use it or lose it. Musical practice has been associated with healthy neurocognitive aging, increased memory, executive function, emotion, and language. So not just cognitive function, but all the areas of the brain. Emotion, your emotion center, your language center, all the different areas of your brain benefit from practicing music. The more you practice, the more you're strengthening your brain. And the last quote from this study, "Children consistently show improvements in concentration, reading, processing speed, and total IQ, even in children from low socioeconomic backgrounds, which typically have a lower total IQ. And those benefits persist into adulthood." And it goes on to say that children that are engaged in music early in life are statistically higher represented in secondary education regardless of their socioeconomic background. So even kids from the projects who do not have the benefit of good schooling or perhaps good food or stable background, those who engage in music are significantly better chance at succeeding later in life, getting secondary education, and becoming a high productive member of society. That early education in music persists throughout their entire lifespan, and it makes such a huge difference. So get your kids into music. If your schools don't offer a music program, and so many of them don't anymore, get them learning, get piano lessons, violin lessons, doesn't matter. Get them in the choir, get them learning music. It will do them so much good for the rest of their lives. And the last thing I wanted to note didn't come from this study at all. It's my own personal experience in that I have seen music do incredible things for people suffering from dementia. My wife is a singer. A lot of what she does is performing in nursing homes. She will go into nursing homes, and a lot of those nursing homes are memory care units. So it's what they call where they have people who have dementia and Alzheimer's who may not recognize their own spouse or their own children. I often go in with her, and I will see these people that live in these centers, and they think I'm their husband or I'm their son. More than once, one of them's tried to drag me off to the room because they thought I was their husband. But these people may not know where they are, they may not know who they are, but music still speaks to them. I have seen this multiple times where one of these people will be in the room and they almost look dead. I mean, they're like they're totally not present, or they are confused and angry because they don't know where they are. They don't understand what's happening to them. They don't know their own family members. My wife will get up there and sing music from their childhood. The ones that look like they're dead come to life. They will start singing along with every word. You know, they'll start telling you about, here's what I was doing. I was at the USO and I was dancing with all the soldiers. I've heard that more than once. And, you know, this was our favorite song. And music is so connected to memory that these memories that are still there somewhere, the music brings it out of them and it brings them back to life. It helps center them and calm them and give them a sense of familiarity. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. And lastly, the effects of playing music or singing, even if you're just singing along to the radio, my wife always tries to get the people in the residences to sing along because it generates oxytocin. It generates all the happy hormones that make you feel good. It reinforces your immune system. It's a natural antidepressant. It's good for you. So all good reasons to play music, sing music, be involved with music your entire life. It will do you good. It will do those around you good. Get your parents start into music if they're not already. If your dad played guitar 20 years ago, buy him a guitar, get him start playing again. If your kids are in school, get them in outside lessons, get them involved in music, join the choir, join the band, whatever it takes. Get music into the lives of the people you love and continue playing music yourself. Keep learning, never stop learning, keep generating all those connections in your brain, build that cognitive reservoir, do yourself good. If you like this video, this type of video, I know it's kind of different for me, but if you do find this interesting, please click like and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, suggestions, corrections, anything you want to add to this, please do it in the comment section below. And as I said, I will be putting links to all these studies in the comment section below if you're interested in reading more and doing some research, which will benefit your brain. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.
What an awesome message.
Good for your brain.
Yes, and he is a good advocate of getting people onto instruments. I encourage that message.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I love the message about the about the nursing home and going in and seeing people light up. I've seen that as well, and it's definitely music is very powerful in that way. And the more you can get music into your life and to share it with other people to get it into their life, in a good way, not in the blasting the music so that your neighbors are forced to enjoy your music, but
the way
sharing music with people who want to share it.
The way he described how some would respond when they'd hear like a melody and associate it to a memory. It reminded me of like, the sense of smell and how that can have an effect sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people can smell grandma's cookies and they feel like they're 10 years old again. And,
exactly.
Music has that same kind of relationship with us when we're in that kind of situation where like you might not be aware of your surroundings at that point and feel like you're shut down, but to hear like a piece of music that takes you back does kind of wake the brain back up.
Yep. One smell in particular, talking about the smells and how they attach strongly to memories. During my piano lessons, as a matter of fact, I had one teacher and she had the same scent of incense burning all the time. So anytime I would smell, and we always had like Archie magazines or whatever she had in like the waiting room, and my sister and I both took lessons. So like she would be taking a lesson, I'd be reading magazines, and then, we'd switch and whatever. But the smell of that incense, like if I smell that anyone's burning that particular scent, I smell it and it immediately takes me back to the piano lesson.
You feel like playing the piano when you smell it.
I do.
It's a good smell.
Start hearing piano and looking for the Archie magazines. Where'd they go?
But
good stuff. But yes, very, very strong memory hooks or connections or anchors, I would say, for smell and for sound, and music being a big way of activating a lot of different areas and being a strong reminder to especially big events in people's lives.
And I think one of the points he mentions there, that this can help to prevent Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. It's a holistic approach to preventing something that they don't really know how to prevent medically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing, like the whole use it or you lose it is another thing with, make sure you're researching things, you're looking things up, you're learning things. And I try to learn stuff all the time, even though I know a lot of things, but it's good to learn stuff every day. So, every day I look things up and I see things and I pick up instruments all the time. And one of the big things with that is having it convenient, where I'm sitting right now, I have, a piano that I can play I got notes right here that I can jump on. I've got my, guitars right next to me, my bass is within arm's reach. So at any time I'm playing or watching a video or whatever, watching a movie, a song comes on and I'm like, oh, I like that bass line. My bass is right there and it's already plugged in. So I can just grab it and start playing along. And I just learned that bass line and then I put it back down. I only needed a few seconds to pick it up and jump in. But now I can, break that out again later because now I understand how that particular riff worked.
It helps to surround yourself with instruments.
Yeah, definitely. Having it handy so that you can just pick it up, and picking it up even just for 5-10 minutes, like other people had said earlier, is important because, it doesn't have to be every day. If you miss a day, it's not like, oh, I missed a day, so now it's all over. It's by doing it every day or as much as you possibly can, in terms of the number of days, like do it all the time, is just because it helps to reinforce. And again, even just a few minutes here, a few minutes there keeps your fingers limber and you're ready to go. Like when it comes to playing bass, you don't play for a long time. You try to come back to it, you might rip your fingers up and it might, make it so you can only play a short time before it's uncomfortable. But if you're playing a little bit every day, your fingers are, used to it, so you're fine, and you can play for longer.
Plus, like he mentioned, if you a bodybuilder can build up all this mass, but then if they stop exercising, the muscle mass, changes. Better to have a little bit of practice and consistency where you develop the muscle you need than build up a muscle that gets wasted, because that can have side effects as well. So you don't have to go and like become a bodybuilder musically. You just have to get toned.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that it's, with the muscle memory, that's how, like we were talking about Chopin before, when I used to play several pieces when I was younger, 2 of them were preludes from Chopin. And like, I just sit down at the piano and hit the first couple of chords, all of a sudden the whole rest of the song started coming to me, where now I can sort of play the whole thing again. Like I remember, and I have to redo certain parts again until I find the muscle memory where I jump here. And my hands would almost just go there by themselves because I used to play that song, totally forgot how to play it. But now I hear how it's supposed to go in my head and my hands kind of move to the spots where they should. And it just starts coming out. And it's kind of cool. But like, I didn't know that many songs when I was younger. So there's not that many that are going to come back, but it's more now I understand how to just do chord progressions, and how many songs that opens up is ridiculous, because every song, you can get 1-4-5 and you could do 1,000 songs, that are 1-4-5 songs. So it's a matter of just figuring out how the bounce changes or how they react differently to a bass part, or how to just arrange them on a piano or a keyboard to make it sound full. So it sounds like, there's a full band happening or whatever.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember Fur Elise, like one of the first ones that I learned and knew it for decades, and not playing it for over 20 years now. It's like, I've got to start all over.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one where I'll start a couple of notes and I'll be like, okay, it's and then my hands kind of fall into it again, and I can sort of get the first couple of measures going, but then it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, I have an easier time with Moonlight Sonata. Yep. B, D. Yeah, there you go.
Something like that. But yeah, there's and then of course there's supposed to be another hand involved there. So, but if I'm facing this way, it's not easy. I have to turn the whole body that way to get both hands going.
Well, and that's why I always like that piece, because it really, the hands do different things, and it's good practice.
It is, for sure. That's a good one. That's another one I'll work on again, because as you can see, like that's one of those ones that when I hear parts of it or when I think about it, it's like, oh yeah, it goes like that kind of, and I can kind of make part of it come out. So I should work on that more so that I could reproduce it on demand again.
Oh, and we
like I could have when I was younger.
we got to get ready for classical night. It's coming.
That's right. That's right. I have a whole bunch of sheet music for classical night over here, so I'll have to look through and see. I'll grab a few from a few different examples. So we'll see. Probably, I'm sure there's Tchaikovsky in there. I know there's tons of Chopin in there. There's got to be Mozart in there. There's going to be Liszt. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of things that we can find.
Yeah, my picks would be Beethoven, Bach, and Mozart. My big three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they're all represented. I'm sure.
Well, that was some very interesting information coming from Scott. Positive to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's encouraging stuff. I'm gonna check out the studies that he's referencing there, and love to see that, like, you know, they're looking into these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, music is very powerful. I think that's the core message that I'm going to work with there. Music is very powerful.
Well, I'm very glad I found at Scott Synth Stuff. Good freshie this week.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very cool.
Ah, Big Glenn.
What happened?
Your head
okay,
grew
okay.
3 sizes that night.
I didn't want to crush you all. Fill the whole screen.
Well,
that's all right.
Nice to get a keyboard night in there. You know, we've had a piano night, but I wanted to kind of bring the keyboard side over to it as well. And as we saw, you know, pianos and keyboards, they share similarities, but they serve different masters.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Different purposes, and, you know, different needs, different times. You know, it depends what you're looking for at that time. But having something, you know, just having something that you can go to and play at, you know, a moment's notice, that you don't have to go break it out and set it up and all that kind of thing, is very useful for the whole play something every day. You know, having something that's right there to be able to just put your hands on and play is very useful for that. So that's, to me, that's a good reason to have just a bang around something, whether it's a guitar, bass, you know, keyboard. Playing something is useful.
Yeah, and if any of you play with these keyboards that we were looking at, whether it's a Workstation or a Ranger, if you've got some experience with it, send me a shout. I'd love to know which one you're using and why you picked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what you made with it.
Yeah, they might help
you
me.
Make songs or just use it for practice.
It might help me to pick my next one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So some good videos from tonight.
Yep, we're finishing up. We'll be back tomorrow night with
Glad everybody came out of the skin.
Band Lab plus Coffee with DJ Tatius. That'll be at 9. Yep. And we'll be back next Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Possibly classical night.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. It could happen. We'll have to see.
So we'll see you tomorrow night.
Shh I.T. with Glenn and Tony.
Night, everyone.
Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some band lab clips.
Now for me, that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out. Kind of.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like, stretching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ended right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice 40.
Talking shit, breathe, blend, and tell me.
I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.